Peace and blessings out there to everybody. My name is Dr. EnQi, the founder of the Melanin versus Diabetes movement and ministry. Our goal is to fight diabetes by creating a biochemically literate society, one book at a time, one person at a time, one household at a time. Join us now by going to Amazon.com and getting all of the books, getting all of the books that you can afford, even if you can't read them all. Share them with family, share them with loved ones. Let's begin the study. And if you need tutoring sessions are available at AmericanHealer.website. I can give you one-on-one tutoring through these books. Let's build a biochemically literate society, one person at a time. Thanks in advance. All right, peace to the family. We're just getting this thing together. About to send out an early morning shout out to the IG family. I'll send a little early morning shout out to the IG family. Okay, how does that go? All right. All right, so there we go. Good morning, everybody. If you're on the YouTube, if you're on the IG, it would be good if you joined over on YouTube. Right? It would be good if you came over to the YouTube. You came to hang out with us. Come on over and hang out with us. Last night was another epic classic video, right, with Hotep Jesus. Now here's where the conversation starts, right? So I had a few minutes, right, and I was talking about how I wrote. How did I get to? Oh, it's not here. Let me find the cover. As I was actually talking about this book here. And this book has seemed to grow a little life of its own, interestingly enough. Let me see if I can get this on the screen for you guys. Hopefully everybody got a little exercise in already. Hopefully everybody got the blood flowing to their feet. Because I'm getting ready to share some things with you that are very important. And I realize these things can be so simple. Oh my goodness. These things can be so simple that you overlook them. Right? These things can be so simple you overlook them. And okay, that's not it. Here we go. There we go. Right. So this is the book. Right. This is the new book. I was telling a story last night about, and so people hit me up. People hit me up. Because last night's show wasn't about the book, right? But I had a few minutes before the actual show got started, and I was talking about the book because I had, like, as far as health is concerned, I had done my magnum opus, You know, I had pulled, you know, I had done the undoable, right? So just to recap, last year I set a ridiculous, crazy goal for myself, and the goal was to try to write 50 books by my birthday. You know, give myself a year to see if. Now, mind you, I knew this was an impossible goal setting out to accomplish it, right? But I had already written roughly about 50 or 60 books in, I would say, the past 15 years, right? So I had set this crazy, and I had wanted to like kind of rewrite them. You know what I'm saying? So I have stacks and stacks of notes and notebooks, and um I might show that stuff to you guys one day. It's really crazy. I mean, stacks of paper, like, yeah, it's insane. Um, I even have bags of just paper notes that are just random notes on herbs and bioactive compound, just crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, I set this crazy goal for myself, half jokingly, half heartedly, but just in the sense of, if you aim for the stars, you land on the moon. Like I just wanted to see how far I could go with it, right? And so it didn't become a real thing. And of course, I'm shrinking the story down now. You know, I just told the long, drawn out story yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So you can watch that other video or whatever. But didn't become a real thing until I was in the 40s, right? My birthday's coming up this weekend, right? This is my birthday weekend. And so I'm in the 40s, somewhere around like April, May. I'm like, hold up, I'm in the 40s. I can do this, right? And so I put these out, right? I start stepping on the pedal. I put the pedal to the metal. And look at this. Notes hanging out. I got big piles of that. But I put the pedal to the metal, and I get to 48. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm at 48. So I'm like, okay, great. 49, 50. I did it. I did it. Right? And if you look, these aren't like, I didn't just slap these together. You see what I'm saying? These are books, right? I come on YouTube last week. I'm like, yeah, so we getting ready to start our thing. We're gonna be going crazy, 2-a-days, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I go to my Amazon account and I'm like, the movement book, I counted the movement book twice, because the movement book is a part of the Race Hustler series, and it's also a part of the Comedic Science series. So because I have that book in 2 sets, I overcounted that book. So I said, wait a minute, you don't have 50. You got 49. You're counting the movement book twice. So I had to go back. I had to go back to the drawing board. I like that. I'm gonna receive that. I like that energy right there. Shout out to everybody that got up this morning and tuned in. I like that. I'm going to receive that. That's good energy right there. You'll be at 500 plus before the end of the beginning. I like that. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna receive that. That's good energy right there. I'm gonna receive that. I'm gonna receive that. That was good energy right there. So um at that point, you know, and I kind of had like Osborne and Aubrey in the back of my mind. And I'm gonna tell you guys a story about Aubrey. Right? I'm gonna tell y'all a story about Aubrey. That's what we're here. You know, I know you see the title of the video, like, okay, what does this have to do with the title of the video? I'm gonna tell you a story about Aubrey. That's coming, right? But the story, I'm telling the story because it has everything to do with the books. It has everything to do with the books. Especially this book, right? And in fact, I accidentally clicked this button, but it's a good thing I did because that book right there is also a part of the story. Actually, all of these books are a part of the story, but that book right there specifically is a part of the story, right? The food basics book, right? Because all this time, people have been asking me, you know, EnQi, we need, you know, we need the Dr. EnQi food book. We need the Dr. EnQi food list. And primarily because of the large shadow that Dr. Sebi has cast, right? Because everybody's not into this space. Everybody's not into this world, right? Me, the last 30 years, I've probably read 50 to 100 books a year on this biochemistry, physiology, anatomy, hematology, you know, photochemistry, photovoltaism, biochemistry, you know, photosynthesis, the symbiotic relationship between, you know, forget about it, right? Enzymology and just all kinds of ologies, like just all kinds of studies and random. Uh, I've lost whole libraries. You know what I'm saying? Like I've lost more books than most people will ever read. You know, especially subject specific, right? So it's not just about reading books, it's about subject specific books, right? And that's where this becomes so crucially important. That's where this becomes so crucially important, having that grasp, right? And that's the thing that I want to try to communicate. It's not about the books, it's not about the herbs, it's not about any of those things that people would try to make it seem like to, you know, point you to a product. What it comes down to is the moment, right? It comes down to the moment. And, you know, thinking about, um, I guess I couldn't prioritize or I couldn't relate. I couldn't understand the need for me to put out like a food book. I'm gonna be honest. I could not understand it because it's everywhere. Like if we search right now on Google, top 10 testosterone food, top 10 weight loss food, top 10 food for your eyes, top 10 food for the kidney, top 10 food for your toenails. Like it's done. It's done. Like ad infinitum, ad nauseum. Even there's a website. I'm not even gonna call them out right now, but there's a Dr. Sebi website where 90% of the information on this website is Dr. EnQi's information. Like literally, whoever is keeping that website going, they watch my videos, and every time I say something, they go and update Dr. Sebi. Yo, I swear to God, I can't make this stuff up. So they don't think I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the thing is, I critique Sebi. I critique Dr. Africa sometimes because I was here, right? I was here and we were building the movement while they were here. And here's the difference. Me and Dr. Africa argued while Dr. Africa was alive. I critiqued Dr. Sebi while Dr. Sebi was alive, right? So Dr. Sebi could respond, right? I was on stage all across America while the giants were still here, right? It's very different. It's very different than somebody who just came, just crept on the scene a year ago, 5 years ago, or, like they didn't have. And so, but these are still giants to me. Dr. Sebi's still a giant to me. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Africa is still a giant to me. So I never felt the need to do like a food list. You understand? My thing was always to get people the underlying science beyond that. Right? What are they missing? Because think about this. Online right now, we've got a million different food lists. If you type in top 10 food this or don't eat this, food not to eat, there's a million. And guess what? 60% of Americans have a chronic disease. 40% of Americans have 2 chronic diseases. 20% of Americans have a chronic disease that they're ignoring. They don't know they have it, or they're ignoring it. They know they have it because they feel the symptoms. You know what I'm saying? They know they're going to the bathroom too many times, or they know they have this pain, in their lower abdomen or their kidney. They know they have a problem, but they're ignoring it. They feel like if they don't go to the doctor and get diagnosed, then it's not a real thing. Right. But they're not doing anything about it. They're not actively working on fixing it. They might go, I think I need a detox, but that's not a real, so they're not really. So you got 60% of the society is on, medication, and then another 20% needs medication. Right. And then the other 20%, right? 60 plus 20 is 80. You have the other 20%. Guess who that other 20% is? 99% of the healthy 20% of America, I kid you not, babies, children. Babies, children. Turn that water off, thank you. Babies, children. What does that mean? That means back when Richard King was speaking, back when Lila Africa was speaking, Dr. Sebi was speaking, they were making predictions that if we kept going the way we were going, we would get to a point where the pharmaceutical companies would dominate because everybody would pretty much be sick. Everybody would be sick. And we're here. We're here. We're here. Pretty much the only people that are not sick are the children. And I know that's troubling, because in your mind, you probably, first of all, people's, EnQi, you don't have no muscles. EnQi, you don't have no muscles. I've been watching such and such. So you're on YouTube watching these guys with huge muscles, and somehow in your mind, you believe that these guys are healthy because they have really big muscles. And you don't realize that that population dies the youngest. That population dies the youngest. They don't live long, right? So the health is different than fit. Those are really fit guys. Those guys could do 175 burpees, 175 burpees in less than 3 minutes right now. They can do 250 squats, 175, bench press 400, they're doing pull-ups, flipping around. Got it. But the illusion that fitness is health is something that drives the profit margin in the pharmaceutical industry. So in this video, we're going to talk about a very simple, crazy secret that's right out in front of everybody's face, right? It's called shortfall nutrients, right? Shortfall nutrients, right? So let me write that down for you guys. If you're at home, you should be taking notes on stuff like this, right? This is something, in fact, open up, if you have your book, right? If you have the food chemistry book, right? Feel free. Look what I can't even show you all my notes, but I write everywhere. Like literally, yeah, I ain't showing you my notes. But my book is written up. I've already started taking notes in my book for another book that I'm writing. Like I write notes everywhere, right? But I want you guys to write this down because it's a very important part of the conversation in the new book. Right? It's a very important part of the conversation, not just in the new book, but in all of these books, to be honest. Right? In all of these books, to be honest. Who has seen the movie Countdown? Who has seen the movie Countdown? Raise your hand. Just put your hand up. I know you're in your house, but just put your hand up. You got to participate. Put your hand up. Have you seen the movie Countdown? Right? Have you seen the movie Countdown? If you haven't seen the movie Countdown, listen to this. If you haven't seen the movie Countdown, go watch the movie Countdown. Right? Let me tell you what the movie Countdown is about. Countdown is, how do I phrase this? Countdown is a what if story that was turned into a movie, right? Countdown, or there's a few different Countdown movies. I'm talking about the one from Netflix. Okay, Countdown is a Netflix movie, came out around pandemic time. And it's about an app that you download on your phone, and the app tells you exactly when you're going to die. Countdown is a movie, listen to this, about an app you download on your phone and it tells you when you're going to die. Let me tell you where that movie came from. That movie came from what we're just going to say. I don't want to use the term assessment. We're just going to say insurance. And we'll just put it right in here. That movie came from life insurance. That's where the idea of this movie comes from. Now, here's the thing I want you to do, right? Ask yourself a question. Why does life insurance kick in when you die? Why is life insurance for when you die? Right? The name life insurance, the term life insurance, term, pun intended, the term life insurance, right? It should be something that ensures that you either have a better life or live a longer life. If we just go by the definition of these words, life insurance should refer to something that gives you a better quality of life, or gives you a longer life, right? It's life insurance. I want to ensure that I live longer. I want to ensure that I live better. But life insurance, classically, traditionally anyway, you got some new, financial instruments, but life insurance is about your death date, right? It's about your death date. And your life insurance agent will never tell you that, right? They're not going to explain it to you that it's a gamble. Now, how do I know this? I never sold life insurance, right? But what I did do is work on Wall Street, right? So when you have to study for the Series 7, when you study for the Series 7 and the 63 and the 62 and all of these licenses, right? You have to learn all of these different financial instruments. And you not only have to learn the financial instruments, but you have to learn the foundation of them, so to speak. You got to know what bonds are. You got to just know the whole, the focal point of being a stockbroker is stocks, right? But when you get all those licenses, you kind of have to have a foundational understanding of all the different instruments. So the thing is, and I know you're like, well, what is false? What is this? Where are you going? Where are you going with this? We're getting there, right? We're getting there. Life insurance was started as it's a gamble, basically, right? It's a gamble between you and a company or a bank to see how long it is that you're going to live. To see how long it is you're going to live, right? Because if you live too long, then the bank or the company loses money. They lose money, right? And there's a big issue with that, right? Well, if you follow anyway, back in the 90s, they were talking about the potential financial crisis because of the baby boomers, right? So what they actually needed, and I'm telling you, this sounds like a crazy plot from a wild movie, but this is real life. What they actually needed to help prop up the economy was for the baby boomers to die off. Because retirement is life insurance. It's a different type of life insurance, but it's life insurance nonetheless. And the longer you live post-retirement, the more companies have to pay out. The more companies have to pay out. So what you need to know is that there are bets against your life. There are bets against your life. And I know you're like, hold up, but what does this have to do with Aubrey? And you said, broken teeth. And I got you. We're going to get to the Aubrey story. That's coming. That's coming. Right? But in order for me to properly explain that to you, you need context. You need context. Right? Caleb. Give me a second. Bring me my cups. I love the fact that they're not in school. All right, now here we're going to get to one of the biggest problems I have with a lot of these online gurus, right? Is that these guys don't really understand how the body works, and so they're just salesmen. And so a lot of times people get mad with me because they're like, EnQi, you always bashing other brothers and blah 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 blah. And what is empty? And I promise you I'm not. First of all, I'm always bashing everyone, not just the brothers. No, it's just I have to separate. I have to let people know the difference between teachers and lecturers, healers and herbal salesmen, right? And a lot of people have not invested the time, right? So you're trying to get health advice from somebody who has never studied biochemistry. You're asking your doctor, right? Your medical doctor, your medical professional, you're asking your doctor about nutrition. Your doctor never studied nutrition. In fact, doctors don't really study biochemistry. Right? And I know you're like, wait a minute. Now you might have just crossed the line right there. Well, they study biochemistry, but the biochemistry doctors study, and I know because I have the books, right? They get basic biochemistry, but then where they get into the weeds is chemical study, and I don't mean like periodic table of elements, everything is a chemical. I mean medicine. They're studying the effect of medicine on your biochemistry, right? So that's primarily what they study, the effect of medicine on your biochemistry. So yes, in the general sense, of course, they study biochemistry, but in a specific sense, when we say the term biochemistry, we usually are associating biochemistry with health and the natural function of our cells, etc., etc. But medicine does not induce or is not a part of the natural function of your cells. No matter what you think, medicine is not, chemical laboratory created medicine is not a part of the natural function of your cells, right? You don't have cell receptors per se for Tylenol. Like there's no cell receptor for Robitussin. There's no that tussin. That tussin. There's no cell receptor for that tussin. Tussin is not a required nutrient that. So technically, it's outside the paradigm of natural, right? It's actually, in a sense, they're studying how to pervert the natural biochemistry, and that makes up the bulk of doctors studying medicine, biochemistry. They're studying how to pervert it, right? They're studying up on how to speed chemical reactions, how to stop enzymes, how to create fake enzymes, how to and so none of those things can bring you into long-term balance. And this is where we're getting around to our story, right? Our story's coming up. Thank you, sir. Hey, one more thing, Caleb. Put that in the sink. So, So our story kind of starts right in that space, right? So We're in 1165 Virginia Park. Now, if you guys have been following me long enough, you know that I'm the only person that's really transparent and honest. Sometimes too transparent, honest. People cuss me out all the time, right? But you remember, if you've been with me long enough, you've been ordering packages. The address used to be 1165 Virginia Park, right? Yeah, I'd be dropping the location, right? So we were at 1165 Virginia Park. Now, 1165, the way that apartment was set up, biggest apartment I ever seen. Biggest apartment I ever seen, right? But you could run in a complete circle from the living room through the family room, through the kitchen, right? Then you would wind up, you go through the kitchen, you wind up in my little office. From there, you run into Tony's bedroom, and then you come out of Tony's bedroom, and there's the hallway. When you come through the hallway, on the right side is Chase's bedroom. Then there's the bathroom. Then there's my bedroom. And you could run straight through my bedroom. My bedroom had 2 doors. You could run straight through my bedroom and be back in the living room again. So you literally could run in a complete circle through my apartment. Huge apartment, right? This played a role in how I eventually won my children, custody of my children, right? Huge apartment, right? But anyway, one day, Kylie and Aubrey are running through the house. Now, mind you, I done yelled at them 6,784 times to stop running in the house, right? All of them. Anyway, Kylie is yelling out, "I'm the monster! I'm the monster!" And Aubrey is giggling and she's running away from Kylie. "I'm the monster! I'm the monster!" And I'm yelling, "Stop that damn running!" Right? But mind you, it was hard for me to really put my full, 158th Street. We back. The sound of your child giggling, right? Listening to her giggle and laugh so from the gut, that it was a beautiful sound. So I'm trying to be aggressive and stop that damn, but at the same time, I like to hear, the children playing. It's a beautiful, I love children. But then you hear the sound you never want to hear as a parent. Ah! Right? You hear the fall and the tumble, and then you hear the crazy scream. Now, mind you, as a parent, you learn what the different type of levels of screaming and crying mean. Right? And because I started having children at such a young age, I stay connected to them in a certain type of way, So I knew when I heard this, and I've had a lot of injuries myself, right? Broken bones, stitches, you name it, right? So sprains, tears, torns, pops, hamstring, forget about it. So when I hear this, I know something's wrong. I know there's a problem, right? And so my stomach is coming through my, when your stomach drop, you know what I'm saying? So I go out there, I pick her up and she doesn't look. In my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of relieved for it. I'm like, One of those, like, you scared me. You made me. This is why I tell y'all to stop running, because you scared me. I thought something really happened to you. And she opened her mouth, and her mouth was full of blood. When she opened her mouth, it was full of blood. I said, oh my, what the Now, I'm panicking, and Dr. EnQi, right? But herbs typically, you get a broken bone or you get bust your head, you need stitches or a cast, right? Now, at the time, right, here's what makes things worse. And I hope you never go through anything like this. But at the time, I was in a court battle for custody of my kids, custody of my children, excuse me, right? I'm in a court battle for custody of the children. I'm going through a rough divorce. 6 years, like we in the thick of it. We traveling across state lines back and forth to make court dates, right? So in that situation, the last thing you want is something to happen to the children, because it can be used against you and the children later on in court. So, there's that, just to add more anxiety and pressure. So we go to the dentist, and, like, this is a situation that just kept getting worse. This just kept getting worse, right? We go to the dentist, thank God the dentist wasn't far. Like, where I lived on Virginia Park, 2 blocks away from the hospital, right? And then the hospital had like a little satellite dentist place for adults and then another one for children. So all this stuff is like maybe 3-4 walking distance, right? That's parenting 101, right? Parenting 101. When you're looking for a place to move to, it needs to be close to emergency services. So anyway, we get up there, and they clean her mouth out, get her together. I didn't want to mess with it. I didn't want to mess with it. So, I just was kind of like, getting the blood out of her mouth so she wouldn't choke on the blood or anything like that. And just, left it the way it was so that the dentist rather could do whatever they need to do, see what it is and get a good idea of what's going on in there. So they get it together, and they tell me, they come back and they say, listen, you got a couple options. She's got a break. I don't know, what was she doing? How did she break her teeth? I was like, I can't say exactly, how she did it. I know she was running. Her sister was chasing her, and she fell down. I don't know what she hit her mouth on, or whatever the case may be. And like, well, the beauty is that she broke her teeth, like right at where the nerve root is. So what we can do is, we can just pull the teeth, and it'll be a couple of years before her adult teeth come in. But she'll be fine. She'll be cool. You know what I'm saying? She won't really notice, because she's got another year or so before her teeth fall out anyway. And then her adult teeth will come in, and, it'll just, there'll be no damage to the future teeth, right? And so I'm kind of relieved, right? I'm kind of relieved, right? But, I look over at Aubrey and then I look at the girls. Now, mind you, Tony is there with me. Tony's old. You know what I'm saying? Tony's big. Tony, see how Chase is now? Tony was my teenager at the time. You know what I'm saying? So I look over at Tony and Tony is like, she's like, no, Dad. That's going to be, no, Dad. Her smile is going to be like, she's, you know, like, how is she going to smile and take pictures? You know what I'm saying? So I asked the doctor, I said, well, is there any other options? Any other thing that we could do, you know, to, the doctor was like, no, you know, you could leave them, you could leave the tooth in and, you know, see if the teeth fall out on their own. They may just fall out over the next couple days, but you're here. She's here. We have her mouth numb already, right? We might as well just go ahead and pull them out. And so I asked the doctor, I said, well, you know, my daughter, she had a car accident. And I told him the whole Amber story, right? And they were like, well, I mean, technically it is a possibility that the teeth could heal. You know what I'm saying? It's like 1 in a million. It's like 1 in a million, but, you know, I mean, what do you want to do? You know, the only real risk is, you know, like, you don't want the tooth to fall out in her sleep or something like that and choke her or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's a very remote possibility that the nerve could, you know, reconnect and, you know, the tooth could heal, you know what I'm saying? And then she'll have her teeth, you know, everything will be normal. And Aubrey smiled, the children smiled, everybody smiled. So I was like, all right, we're going to take her home. We're going to take her home. Right. And so from that moment, we started a campaign from that moment. I took her home and we started a crazy campaign centered around these nutrients, right? In fact, not even these so much. Those were not the focal point. We started an insane campaign of calcium, right? An insane calcium campaign. And sure enough, let me see this here. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah. Sure enough, we were able to get the job done, right? Well, God was able to, right? Heal up the teeth like nothing ever happened, right? Like nothing ever happened. And she has now, the funniest thing about this is now she has the prettiest smile, right? She has the prettiest smile right now. You know what I'm saying? Like she's got the prettiest smile out of all my babies. And you would never know it. You would never know we went through this whole fiasco, right? So this is what I'm saying We study this information for these moments, right? So I'm not buying all these books and studying for, like, it's the moment. And you can't you can't get the information in the moment. You can't wait until your child's tooth is broken to then go get the books. You can't wait until you're on your deathbed to get the books. You can't wait till you get the illness to get the books. You can't wait till your wife, your daughter, your cousin, your sister, husband, mother, father. You cannot wait until the emergency to get the information. You have to already have the information, because when the emergency happens, you have to go into action. You have to go into action. Now, through the course of my, being a parent, I've got like a zillion of these stories, and I probably don't share them enough. I'm going to work on sharing these stories a little bit more often to remind folks, what I'm saying, like why we do these things, you know what I'm saying? But brings us over here to shortfall nutrients, right? Brings us over here to shortfall nutrients. Let me take you back in time first. When I first got started, right? When I first got started, and I'm going to be honest, people realized my calling in life before I did. People realized my calling in life before I did, right? The first person I would have to say, well, I can't say the first, because I don't know which one of them was first, right? But Brother Azariah, may he rest in peace, and Dr. Kaba, right? They leaned on me. You know what I'm saying? Leaned on me. Now, there was Sonetta, who also early on was like, no, brother, this is what you should be doing for the rest of your life, brother. Trust me, brother. That's Sa. But Sa was over aggressive, and Sa was crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? But brother, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I'm telling you. Then there was Mfudishi. I think the ancient ancestor, Mfudishi lives in the world of the ancient ancestors. The ancient ancestors, I believe, put this, they're speaking through, you're connected to the ancient ancestors in a way like nobody else. So, you there? Let's get this thing together real quick. Peace and blessings out there to everybody. My name is Dr. EnQi, the founder of the Melanin versus Diabetes movement and ministry. Our goal is to fight diabetes by creating a biochemically literate society, one book at a time, one person at a time, one household at a time. Join us now by going to Amazon.com and getting all of the books, getting all of the books that you can afford, even if you can't read them all. Share them with family, share them with loved ones. Let's begin the study. And if you need tutoring sessions are available at AmericanHealer.website. I can give you one-on-one tutoring through these books. Let's build a biochemically literate society, one person at a time. Thanks in advance. All right. So I had people realize my calling before I did. Even Ben. Shout out to Ben. If I will always love Ben. Regardless to what, because Ben and his brother Chick, they were the ones who told me that I should go to school. They were the ones who told me that I needed to get some certifications. They were like, yo, even if you don't go to medical school, you still need to get certified. I'm like, certified for what? I'm already healing folks and I'm doing this and that and the other. And yo, you know what I did with Amber and blah, 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 blah. They're like, yeah, but you don't have to go to a medical school. There's other schools. You could be a dietitian or a nutritionist or a naturopathic doctor. And, there's other schools. You could just go to school and get your certification. So anyway, I had a bunch of people realize my calling before I did, right? And back then when I started, I created all of these guys. None of these guys existed. You only had Dr. Africa and Dr. Sebi on a nationwide level. You had people in certain cities, right? The holistic arts was a small thing. It was private, right? It was secluded. It was secretive because people were, they were scared for their lives in some places and situations. So it was local. You know what I'm saying? Later on, check this out. When I moved to Detroit, and I moved to Detroit literally like within a week of Dr. Kiefer transitioning, right? So I even had some elders in Detroit like, no, this is a spiritual thing. Dr. Kiefer took care of this city for a long time. So it's not a coincidence that you move here, when she transitions, right? But it was a small thing. We didn't have a bunch of different people in and out. I think I need a new charger. I think that's what we're dealing with. I got to position it just right. But that's not going to stop us from getting through this conversation, right? That's not going to stop these conversations. This conversation we're having. Right? So it was a select small group, only Dr. Africa and Sebi won a nationwide level. The point that I'm making is now that you have so many people online, whether they're trying to sell you protein powder, herbal detoxes, etc., it's hard to navigate. And in that space, it's hard for the salesman to make their sales. So what winds up happening is people get more and more exotic. They get more and more exotic. And so you have people that have connections to Africa telling you that you have to have the African herbs. You have people that are from the Caribbean telling you that you have to have the Caribbean herbs. You have people from America telling you that you need to practice a macro American diet. And so you need the American herbs. You have people telling you that you were originally from South America, so you need those herbs, or you need food from here, or you need food from there. And it just corresponds with the thing that they have access to. It just so happens to correspond with the thing that they have to offer, right? And my point is, none of that fancy stuff is actually dealing with this, right? This is the secret. This is the $1 trillion secret. Maybe that's why my camera's blinking off so crazy. This is the $1 trillion secret here. Right? Maybe it's not my charger. Maybe it's this $1 trillion secret. This shouldn't get out. But this is it right here. And I know some of you have already Googled this term. It's been on the board and you're curious and you want to know, wait, what are shortfall nutrients? Shortfall nutrients are the nutrients that I'm not going to say all, but pretty much everybody in America and Europe and all over are deficient in. We're going to keep wrestling with this thing till we get this. Oh, is that what the problem is? There we go. Got it. I think I fixed it. We lit. Okay, I think I fixed it. We lit. And I think I fixed it in a way where now I know how to keep it fixed. Right? Let's see if my theory holds out. Right? Let's see if my theory holds out. Maybe it'll stay on for now. See, the light was a different color. Now it's at blue. So if the light stays on blue, I think we're good. All right, but this is important. So I'm not going to stop this video. Right? But this right here is the nutrients that everybody in America is deficient in. Right? And this is important. This is why you need to know food chemistry. This is why you need to know food chemistry. And this book is The Science of Food Chemistry. Right? Now, normally, these books are pretty expensive. These books are pretty expensive. Let me show you what I mean. Because people think that they know, but you don't really know, right? You don't really know. You don't really know if you're not in school for this or you're not in the space. All right, so let's just take a look really quick at what the books look like. Let me show you. Right, just so you get an idea. Right, this is what the books look like. Right, this is the market for these books. Right, this is the market for these books. Just so you see that, 227, 167, 165, 70, 95, 264, 107, 79, 129, 66, 129. I don't know what this is, but I know this is not a college level book right here, but you get the idea, right? $199, $246. Like these are the ones that you would have to have for a college level course, right? Look at this. They want an ebook for $130. Like this is crazy, right? So just so you get an idea of what the market space looks like, right? Now we're going to go through. Okay, look, we've been live. We've been on for a few minutes, so it looked like I found the solution. Looks like I found the solution. Now I'm going to show you why this connects to life insurance and Aubrey's teeth, right? And why you need to understand and how this all plays a role in the new book, right? The new book, because in the new book, we talk about this, right? But we go, right? I'm gonna just show you something basic, but in the book, we're gonna go like super crazy in depth with it. But life insurance companies, when they do your blood and your whole test and your workup, right? They use these nutrient deficiencies along with your genetic profile, along with your economic profile, along with your race, your neighborhood. They use all these key metrics to find out exactly when you're going to die. And based on that number, they know whether they're going to give you insurance or not. And that's why there's certain things where they won't even insure you at all. There's certain things that disqualify you from insurance right off the rip. Like, okay, we're not even going to play with him, right? But these are the real keys, right? These are the real keys, and I'm going to show you how in just a second. So let's all go to our lovely internet. Let me see if I can change this. Perfect. Now let's type in shortfall nutrients. Look at that. Pop right up for you. Shortfall nutrients. Right? Now that's just a few. Because there's about 10 or 11 of them. See that? Shortfall nutrients include potassium, fiber, choline, magnesium, calcium, vitamins E, D, A, C, iron, right? Shortfall nutrients, right? These are the nutrients that everybody's deficient in. And here's how the list goes, right? The list starts with fiber. The list starts with fiber. So we're going to just go, I'm going to give you an idea of how this thing works. The list starts with fiber. 90% of the American population are deficient in fiber. So if you're deficient in fiber, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that on some level, you're going to be experiencing dehydration. See, this is how they calculate these things, right? I know on some level, you're going to be experiencing dehydration, right? So let me just show you. When you learn this information, what you see, because remember, you don't see with your eyes and ears, you see with your mind. You don't see with your eyes and ears, you see with your mind, right? So if you don't have the information in your mind, you're not going to be able to see it, right? So let me give you some information to put in your mind from out of these books, so that way you can see what you don't see, right? I want to make the unseen seen for you, right? Inside your where is this at? It's actually, we start off our entire movement with this. Literally, it's in 1 and it's in book 2. Now, I just went through writing, so my books are all out of order now. These books are all out of order, so I don't know where is what. Anyway, Melanin versus Diabetes, book 1 and book 2. What do we lay out that the focal point of our health movement is this. This separates us from everybody else. The focal point of our movement is bone marrow, and the focal point of our diet is not whether you're plant-based or not. We are the pigment and fiber people. That's the diet that we're on. Amber and Carly came up with EnQitarian. The EnQitarian diet is a primary focus on getting a bunch of pigment in throughout the day and a bunch of fiber in throughout the day, right? That's our thing. That's our thing. You learn better, you do better. Eventually, people will gravitate, and move away from animal products and all that kind of stuff on their own. But whether you eat meat or not, if you're eating a bunch of pigment every day and a bunch of fiber every day, you're going to be healthy. Pretty much. You can have you a steak. You can have you Domino's pizza, Little Caesars pizza. If pigment and fiber dominates your diet, you're going to be healthy. Now, on the flip side, if you eat plant-based, if you're a plant-based eater, but you don't eat any pigment and you don't eat any fiber, guess what? Even on your plant-based diet, you haven't changed anything. You will not have changed your death date. You're just eating, expensive processed food, ultra processed. A lot of the plant-based foods are worse than the dairy products and the meat products because they require more processing. So if you're not focused on pigment and fiber, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. That's why there's so many people who say, oh, I tried that vegan thing. That wasn't for me. Because what they did was tried avoiding meat and dairy. They did not actually focus on consuming plants. Because if you were consuming plants, that's high fiber and high pigment, right? So anyway, I'll get off my my soapbox, right? I'll get off my soapbox, but let's look here. Let me show you how the insurance companies look at this. And this is what I want you guys to really understand when I say how the body works, right? Your bone marrow is where aging, longevity, youth, this is what I'm telling you. Stop listening to Gerald Pollack, David Sinclair, Jack Cruz, the Andrew Huberman, like the list goes on, right? These guys are marketing agents, marketing masters, right? Marketing masters. And what they're telling you might be 80%, 90% true, but it's going to hide a lie. And that lie it's going to be the one thing, right? Because you're going to be chasing exotic information because these guys are masters of going viral. It's about going viral. For the most part, Gerald Pollack is a little different, right? But Gerald Pollack is about grants. So he's always going to say, he's not going to tell you, he's exclusive with what he says. So he's only going to say the thing that generates money for his research team. But I know from reading his material, from listening to his lectures, it's not possible for him to not understand this. And so the fact that he's not sharing this with his audience means he's a part of the ops. He's a part of the ops, right? Now, mind you, in plants, all of the nutrients are bound to these guys. This is where all of the nutrients are. So not only do you get the hydrating effect, right? Not only do you get the microbiome effect, right? Not only do you get the secondary and tertiary nutrients from fiber, not only do you get the gelling, right? Because the fiber is what helps create cytoplasm. It helps the water structure itself, right? Fiber is what helps create structure in water, right? So you need that just for cells and all kinds of hydrocolloids and the pigments, your antioxidants, all the hot, your light and electric, all that fancy stuff. But in between these guys is where all of your nutrients are. Your minerals, your vitamins, your trace, your macro, your mineral, all that's in between these guys. When food is processed, well, they simply remove the fiber and the pigment. Simple process. They remove the fiber and the pigment. When they spray chemicals on the food, the fertilizer and this and that, it attacks the pigment and the fiber. You know this, but you don't know this. Listen, you know this, but you don't know this. This is why you got to get the books. You got to study so you can learn what when you go out and you spray chemicals, right? You spray pesticide in your yard. The plants, the weeds don't die immediately. What do? They turn colors. They lose pigment. What does that mean? See, everything means something. What does it mean that the plants are losing pigment? Well, because they're losing pigment, they're losing nutrients. Because they're losing nutrients, they're losing function. And because they lose the function in their body, they die. The same thing is happening to you. You're no different. Your body works the same way. This is how insurance companies can pick your death date and bet against it. This is how they can look at when they test you. They go, okay, here's the genetic profile. So we know, what single nucleotide polymorphisms are there, right? They know what SNPs you have. They know what genetic mutations you have. They know where your genome is weak, where it's strong. So they're going to take that and measure that up against the nutrients, your dietary profile, your exercise routine, all that kind of stuff. And they're going to go, okay, look. So this person has, according to this, they've got another 6 years, but they're doing this. So that might extend to 9 years, but oh, wait a minute. Look, how many times a week they said they go drinking? Okay, look at that. So if we match the alcohol with the no fiber, oh, this looks like they're going to have liver surgery in 2 years. It looks like they're going to lose their kidney function in 9 years. It looks like their heart's going to stop within the next 12 to 18 months. They can put that together just like that. When you learn this, you can do that. And when you learn how to do that, guess what you've learned? You've learned the reverse. You've learned how to change your death date by changing these key factors. You've learned how to prevent that in your children by changing some of these key factors. So look, if the fiber is responsible for hydration, right? They look at your diet, your lifestyle. They ask you a few questions about your parents. They look at your genes. They already know whether your lifestyle and diet covers up for the fact that you're deficient in fiber, or whether your diet and lifestyle exploit the fact that you're deficient in fiber, right? So they know, okay, yeah, this person's going to have Crohn's disease, right? Distended bowel, polyps, colon cancer. Oh, we know it. We know it. We know what you're eating and we know what you're not eating. So we can go, oh yeah, polyps and colon cancer is coming. When's the last time you had a prostate check, sir? Because they're going to give you a prostate check. They can find out some other stuff, not just your prostate. Right? Have you had a prostate check yet? Let's check out the prostate. Yeah, let's check out the prostate because this person's deficient in fiber. Well, why does that? Well, your prostate sits in between your large intestine and your colon and your urinary. So right in between your urinary system and your poop, the waste, right in between both waste, right? Here's your urinary. Here's your poop. Ladies and gentlemen, right? Men, prostate. Ladies, uterus. So, no fiber? Oh, yeah. Fibroids, cysts. Yeah. One nutrient. Now, if you don't have any information in your mind, fiber is just about having a bowel movement. Yeah, it's Metamucil. Go get you a Metamucil or I'm going to have some oats. I might just have a bowel movement. I'm straight. Fiber controls the microbiome. The entire microbiome. Fiber controls it. So they know, obesity. Obesity. Right? This is just one thing. This is just one thing. And 90% of the people, this means 9 out of 10 of you watching this video right now do not have enough fiber in your diet. This is just one thing. And this is one of my problems, like I said, with the online gurus and all the stuff y'all watching, because this is basic. This is so basic that nobody's going to tell you this because you're not going to go viral doing a video about fiber. No, they want to tell you about an exotic honey from, bees that grow in a remote location of the jungle that you can drip into your eye. Like, no. People are dying from the basic shit. You don't need to go into an all fruit diet, and eat, grapes for 72 hours and then switch to apples and go on a mono diet. Let's go on this weird, crazy, no. Our ancestors, no. Your ancestors did not go on these weird diets and fast and crazy, you need to get the
the actual organic acai berry from the top of the Brazilian rainforest. Nigga, no. It's not that. It's not that. It's the knowledge that you need, the information. Because if you don't have the information, it's not possible for you to prioritize this thing. And then you're going to look goofy. You're going to look goofy because you're going to be buying shit, and then you're going to listen to me, and I'm going to be making jokes. Niggas like me going to be making jokes. I'm from the Bronx. I grew up in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like 80s, 90s. We make jokes. We make jokes, especially when I had to deal with jokes because I'm a reader. You see, I got to get jokes because I'm a reader. I'm always reading, so people making jokes. So the way I respond and the rest of the culture that I'm from, the way we respond is we get to be the last laughers. My cousin Cavario has a line of clothes that he's designed called the Last Laughers. Like literally, this is a part of our culture. And my cousin Cavario is the first vegan that I knew. First vegan that I looked up to. Right? He has a whole line of clothes called the Last Laughers, a custom design line of clothes. Right? Just so you understand, when I say this is our culture, this is not me making this up. This is serious. This is what it is. So when people poke and they laugh and, oh, yeah, you read that. Cool. Later on, when you're hurting because you don't know the information that was in these books, oh, then it's time for me to laugh. And I'm going to have jokes. And I know how to fight. So I'm not going to be scared to tell the jokes. Yeah. Yeah. Because there was a time period. Listen, there was a time period where you could say there was a conspiracy. Right? There was a conspiracy to keep this information from you. And to a greater or lesser extent, in some ways, that still is going on. But they cannot stop you now. Before, the powers that be could stop you. They cannot stop you now. The only thing stopping you is you. So when you hear about microbiome and they tell you to go buy $70, $80, $90 probiotics, and then the probiotics not working, and they say, oh, the reason why the probiotics not working because you also need to buy $100 bottles of prebiotics. So you need to buy probiotics and then buy prebiotics. Go and ask them. Say, what is these? When you say that I need probiotics, are you saying that I don't have any right now? They say, no, you have plenty, but these are the good ones. Okay. Well, how do I sustain them? Well, you get the prebiotics. What are prebiotics made out of? They're going to say, well, different populations of bacteria, they need different types of fibers to eat. So where do those different type of fibers come from? Yellow food, red food, green food, blue food, purple food, orange food. This is why our sea moss is put together as based on the combination of pigments. This is why we somewhere else in the clouds with custom sea moss. The pigments is what we are focused on. The fiber, the polysaccharides, the alginic acid, all of these things, and we break these things down in the books, right? Now, what happens when the bacteria eat fiber? When your bacteria eat fiber, guess what they do? They produce other nutrients. They produce different types of vitamin K's and B vitamins and nutrients that you never even heard of, but your body needs, right? Let me tell you the secret. Nature does not need man to recognize it. Nature doesn't need an attaboy. Nature doesn't need a pat on the back. What are you talking about, Doc? Okay, listen. If we Google right now, discovery of vitamin D, right? There's a date and a person at a certain day and time, quote unquote, discovered vitamin D, right? Now ask yourself, did vitamin D exist before that person discovered it? The answer is, of course it did. Was vitamin D working in people's bodies before they discovered it? Of course it was. That's how they discovered it, because people that didn't have it, they had problems. And so they started to analyze people that had a certain set of problems with their bones versus people who didn't. And they go, oh, wait a minute. They're missing this key thing here. We're going to name this vitamin D, right? They start noticing people with bad teeth, right? They say, oh, what is this thing that's going on? It's causing their teeth and their skin to get rashes and all that kind of stuff. Oh, well, they must be missing. Okay, let's compare people that are okay and people who are not. Oh, they're missing this vitamin C. There are hundreds of thousands of things that are working in your body that come from plants, that come from your bacteria, that are not discovered yet. But they got jobs to do. And you need to put them in there. And the only way you can put them in there is having a diet focused on pigment and fiber. Because if you're chasing exotic nutrients, oh, this is, this came from the Himalayan, this came from the top of the Himalayan mountains, and what's in that? What's that, a goji berry? What is it? What are they selling those for now? $15 a pound? What are the nutrients in there? Can I get that same? Wait a minute, what color is that goji berry? Give me the nutrient profile on the goji berry. Let me see, what color is that? Okay, pull up a sweet potato. How much is a sweet potato a pound? Let me pull up some peppers. Let me see some peppers. Let me pull up some. So we go through, profiles. Like I give profiles in these books. Like people profile criminals. I've profiled nutrients so you can get an idea of how to train your mind to think. Right? So in the food chemistry book, we go through the chemistry of food, how food is made and put together and all that. But then in the kitchen chemistry book, we go through the foods and blah, blah, blah. Right? In the food basics book, we go through the electric nature of food. How electricity from food is transferred to your body, how it moves through your body. So there's the difference between all three books: food basics, food chemistry, and kitchen chemistry. Kitchen chemistry, we literally go through the food list. I got probably 100, 50 to 100 different smoothie blends. Like I got a bunch of recipes in there. right? Bunch of recipes in there, right? So that you got base, and then you can add your powders and whatever else you want to add on top of it into your smoothie. You know what I'm saying? But I got a bunch of different recipes in there. We go through how the foods heal, like what are the healing elements in there? Even case studies from scientific journals on how different foods are getting rid of health conditions. I even go through listing medicines that come from food, like prescription medicine that comes from the food. Because I've been telling you for 2 decades now that 95% of all your pharmaceutical drugs come from plants. But you don't understand, you're not connecting the dots, right? So, fiber. Most of your body is water. Listen, let's just stop right here. Most of your body is water, right? Let's forget your uterus. Let's forget your uterus for a while. Let's forget your prostate. Right? Because your prostate, people having prostate issues, they're missing two shortfall nutrients. 2 shortfall nutrients causing most prostate issues, right? Anyway, because you got shortfall nutrients, and then you got nutrients that should be on the shortfall nutrient list, right? That aren't there. Anyway, another conversation, right? Your body is mostly water. Fiber controls hydration, right? So if you don't have any fiber, you do realize that your body cannot hydrate. This is why, again, and I apologize because I laugh at people a lot, right? But this is why you can't. So people are making whole videos and whole careers online by telling you about alkaline water, right? And get this bottled water because this one is really the best one. You know, you purify it and dissolve this and get it, you know, triple boil it, or this is made with atmosphere. None of the waters are working if you don't have the fiber. Right? Fiber is the prerequisite to hydration. It doesn't matter. Oh, we drinking well water. No, we drink well water. Oh no, we on the artesian. Oh no, I got the new science, the mineral water that we got. It's all going right into your toilet bowl. It's all going in your toilet. Because 90% of the population is fiber deficient. 90% of the population is not only fiber deficient, but guess what? You also drink a coffee every so often, right? Starbucks is making billions of dollars on someone. So when we have these conversations, all of a sudden, nobody goes to Starbucks. None of you niggas go to Starbucks. You niggas too nutritious to go to Starbucks. Y'all lying asses. Right? All of a sudden, nobody goes to Starbucks. But so what happens is 90% of the population is not only fiber deficient, but you on that, you on that Houston Rocket. You on that legal cocaine. Yeah. You on that legal cocaine. You on that legal eagle. Yeah. You know, caffeine has 1 foot in the illegal world and 1 foot in the legal world. Caffeine is a hair distance away from being classified as illegal. Yeah, caffeine and sugar. Science-wise, because sugar is highly addictive, right? And you know what caffeine does to you. So guess what? The legal loophole that allows them both to be legal, like marketed to everybody where you can just go to the store and buy it, cancels out basically once they add them together. Once you add caffeine and sugar together, you officially have you a narcotic in that cup, in that cupcake, in that drink, in that you officially got you a high-powered narcotic. Once you that chemistry together, once you put that caffeine and that sugar together, it's up. And everybody has caffeine with sugar together, right? What does caffeine do? Well, caffeine flushes water out of your system. Caffeine flushes water out of your system. So if everybody's fiber deficient and you need fiber to hydrate, so that means everybody's already dealing with some level of dehydration. And you also add in your daily dose of caffeine, which flushes water out of your system. Literally, that's how caffeine boosts your energy. It boosts your energy by flushing the water. We'll just leave it there. I don't want to go through the chemical reactions and the EnQi cycle and all of that stuff right now. I want to stay on task, right? But the energy comes from water. So that energy is using up water. So you flush water out of your system with caffeine. So you've just taken the inability to hydrate and put steroids on it. Now, where the problem comes in, your health comes from your bone marrow. Your longevity comes from your bone marrow. Now, this right here is a secret that thousands of people fought and died for. This was the secret that Damo came from India. This is what they learned from Kemet. Damo brought this from India up into what later on became the Shaolin monks and the invention of martial arts, blah, blah, blah. All that centers around this one secret. That your health and your longevity is in your bone marrow. Your health and longevity is in your bone marrow. Your body has to make millions, listen to this, millions of blood cells every second. Every second. In order for you to be alive, your bone marrow has to make millions of blood cells every second. That's your health right there. That's your longevity right there. You niggas out of control. Y'all talking about, oh, my blood pH level. Your blood pH level, nigga, what is pH? You don't even know what that is. How do I know that you don't know? Because you have not taken the time to study chemistry. So you don't understand the transfer of you haven't. It's simple if you take the time. That's why we created a whole set of books on it, starting with physics, right? From physics, we went to what? And all of these things are simplified, like hip hop simplified. I'm a hip hop person, so it's almost in Ebonics. It's so simplified. It's like dialogue, just so that you learn enough of it, not so you can go be a scholar. You're not gonna be Dookie Howser, nigga, but you will now understand how your body works. Because you cannot without a basic understanding of chemistry and biochemistry. And this is one of the beefs that I have with Dr. Sebi. While he was teaching biochemistry, acid, alkaline. While he was teaching biochemistry, while biochemistry was his number one marketing tool, was his number one diet plan and all that, he was telling you not to read books. So that he would be the only one, so that in the land of the blind, he would be the one-eyed man. You're dependent on him now for the understanding of acid and alkaline, and you've got to go by what he says because none of you niggas know what acid and alkaline is. You can't even find alkaline in the books because alkaline's not the word. It's called base. So in order to get into the weeds, you got to find the acid and base reactions. That's why we have a book on acid and base reactions. And I had to do those books before we got to a food book because a food book wasn't making any sense. Because the magic of food happens after the food gets digested. And everything that you eat gets turned into acid in your stomach. And then after it leaves your stomach, your pancreas has to turn it all back alkaline, regardless to what it is. So after that, when it gets into your bloodstream, now its true nature as a monomer is going to determine whether it has a base or alkalizing, a basic or acidic effect on wherever organ, wherever it's going. Bone marrow. Now, how did they communicate this in the ancient times? Where's the book? How did they communicate this in the ancient times? And once again, I don't know where the book is. You know what it is? I be in these books. Here we go. And here's another whole pile of books. It's getting to the point where I'm getting ready to run out of space in this bookshelf. Right? So we did this book, Piezoelectrochemistry. And in this book, I actually have the original way that it was taught. I have the original way it was taught almost 2,000 years ago. And then I also have the articles from the scientific journals on the up-to-date, current understanding. What it actually means that your body's a crystal lattice structure. You've been hearing that 1,000 times on the internet because it's a buzzword. It's a trending, crystal lattice structure. Whoop, let me get one of those. Yeah, I'll buy what crystal lattice structure, pH, melanin. Whoop. Oh yeah, let me order some of that. Whatever the product, because they get ready to point you to a product after. Your body's a crystal lattice structure. And so your DNA is, your mitochondria. Once you hear alkaline, oh, whoop, let me buy something. You don't know what. So this is why we're doing these books, right? Because you need the knowledge. And so we go chemistry, biochemistry, stereochemistry, piezoelectrochemistry, photochemistry. Like we go through all of the different types of chemistry before we get to food chemistry, before we get to kitchen chemistry, right? And we start with physics. People go, well, how does physics don't have nothing to do with the food. Physics don't have nothing to do with the food, Doc. Why would you start it off with a physics book? The moment you say physics has nothing to do with food, you niggas, this is why we gotta read. The whole entire science of food starts with a physics lady. I think Dr. Hunt or Dr. Peters, I forgot what her name is. It's a physics teacher. She wrote a book and she converted the entire understanding of food to math. Using the laws of physics, right? Thermodynamics, the understanding of energy, right? How energy is stored, how energy is released, how energy transforms, right? She changed the whole understanding of eating to math. How did she do that? Because she came up with the science of calories. Ta-da! And so when she comes up with the science of calories, now your food is math. Everything is math now. And this is my problem with theoretical science versus actual science. This is why we had to do a few videos. I don't know if y'all been following me that long, but we did a few videos where I had to unleash some vitriol, to the folks that deal in the world of equations. Equations are cool, but equations don't match phenomena, right? And this is one of the problems of science. This is a problem. This is a fundamental problem of science, right? And science relies on things to be duplicatable, right? And this is where I feel the corporate interests are in science. The corporate interests are hidden in the fundamentals of science. So no matter what, the corporate interest is always taken care of first, before life, before love, before friendships, before relationships. Corporate interest comes first. And it's hidden so that it's invisible, because again, you don't see with your eyes, you don't hear with your ears, you see and hear with your mind. If you don't know the information, you can't see it even if it's in front of you. So how is the corporate interest hidden in science? Because everything in science has to be duplicatable. Everything in science has to be duplicatable for it to be real. Now, your logical part of your brain goes, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's how you keep away the charlatans and you make sure everything is real and blah, blah, blah. Here's where the problem comes in. Nature doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't work that way. Ask yourself, can you be duplicated? Can you be duplicated? The answer is no. You can't be duplicated. Identical twins are not identical. They look the same. They're not the same, right? Your fingerprints are unique. Can a fingerprint be duplicated? No. Everybody has their own set of fingerprints. Everybody's voice is unique, right? So nature makes unique, non-duplicatable. That's how nature works. Unique, non-duplicatable. In order for things to be commercialized, right, reproduced, mass scaled, they need to be duplicatable. That's the science of processing of food. That's how you take, listen, that's how you take a ear of corn. That's how you take a corn and you turn corn into breakfast cereal. That's how you turn corn into chicken. That's how you turn, that's how you get strawberry banana flavored blunt wraps. Yeah. What do you think it takes to turn a plant? Like a plant. Plants start dying immediately. As soon as you break them off, as soon as you pull them out of the ground, they start dying immediately. So how is it that you could turn a plant into something that you could put on the shelf that never goes bad, but somehow still is nutritious for your body? How does that work? I'll tell you where you can find out. Listen, this book is not, this is a big, thick ass book for a reason. It's loaded. Over the time of me writing books, I learned, if you notice, look at these 3 examples. I learned the different reason why authors use different size books. It's so you could get your full word count in. I didn't know that when I was doing the GOAT book. I didn't know that. Right? I didn't know how to match the word count to the cut of the book and all that. Right? So I'm telling you, I'm giving you the game. This is why chemists get paid so much money. They get paid to make things to fool your brain. They have to fool your brain into making your brain believe this is a nutritious thing that you just ate. If your brain doesn't believe it's a nutritious thing that you just ate, you will never get full. So that whole cycle of ghrelin, leptin, orexin, melanin concentrate hormone, all of those things are based on nutrition. So in order for processed food to trigger these things in your brain, so you go from hungry to satiated, it has to make your brain and your body believe that you're loaded up on nutrients. Remember, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are nutrients. Those are your basics, right? Macros, right? Then you have your micros, right? Then you have your trace, right? So your brain has to be tricked into believing that things that have no nutrients in them actually are loaded, so that you get a full feeling, because people will at least know that. Like, that's something you don't need to study to know. You don't need to study to know that, right? If you're not full, you're going to stop eating at a place because you're spending over, like, you go somewhere, you spend $20, $30 on some food, and you're not at least full when you leave there. That's the last time you went to that restaurant, right? When we see fancy restaurants, those of us, and I'm in this group, those of us that cannot afford to go to these places where they selling you one tiny little thing on a plate for $650, we laugh at those people. It's like, what? That's insane. Why would you eat a $500 plate with nothing barely on it? Well, the thing is, those chefs have condensed a lot of calories down into what you see on that plate. So that one tiny little thing might be 2,000-3,000 calories. This is what you see them doing when they're lighting it on fire and all that. When they're lighting it on fire and all that, they're condensing sugars and all that. So they have layers of sugars and oils and salts packed in together. When you combine sugar and salt, that's how you hide sugar. That's how you hide sugar, right? Because you're sweet. You're gonna, in your mind anyway, you think the more sugar is there, the more sweet it's going to taste. So you're eating a lot of foods every day that, because they don't taste sweet, you're thinking that you're not loaded up on sugar. That's because that sugar is masked with oils, fats, and salts. But that is food chemistry. How they hide chemicals, how they hide things in your food. That's food chemistry. People are getting millions of dollars to learn that, right? So anyway, bone marrow is where your life force is at. That's where your all the fly stuff that they're saying they don't really know, they know. Oh, we don't know where your life force is at, and you know the chi is da da da. We know exactly where it is. It's in your bone marrow. You know, the chi is something that's with the blood. Nigga, well, where does the blood come from? We know exactly where that happens. It's not a mystery. We know exactly where that happens. Right? Look at older folks. What happens with older folks? Their bones get what? Shriveled up and they shrink. And most old people that don't die from disease die from what? Broken bones. Because their bones are weak. Duh. That literally is what it means to be old. Because not only does your blood come from your bone marrow, but also your white blood cells, your antibodies. 90% of your immune system comes out of your bone marrow. Wait a minute, Doc, I heard your immune system is in your digestive system. No, it's not. Or rather, it's there, but it doesn't come from there. It resides there. Because that's the front line. So you're confusing the front line of the war for the place the soldiers originate. Right? Say, for instance, America's at war with Germany. And we're over in Germany on the front line and we're fighting the war. Soldiers didn't come from there. The soldiers were born in America. They were born in your bone marrow. That's literally why they're called B cells. B cells is short for bone marrow cells. T cells are short for thymus cells. These are the bone marrow cells that migrate into the thymus to be trained how to kill. In the thymus, they learn how to kill and now they can be released to patrol the body. So why is the front line of the war in your digestive system? Because everything from the outside world comes through your digestive system. What you drink, what you eat, what you breathe in, it's all coming through your digestive system. That's why you got to have the bacteria in there to. Everybody was kung fu fighting. That has to happen in there. Right? Because guess what? The lining, listen to this, the lining between your digestive system and your blood is thinner than toilet tissue. It's thinner than toilet tissue. So you gotta have your whole infantry gotta be right there locked and loaded. Because everything is coming through. That's where the fight is at. Once it gets through there, it's already a wrap. You already infected. You already coming down with, yeah. You're going to try to have sex and your joint ain't going to be, you already coming, you ain't right already. You already not right now. This is a wrap. Something done broke through. But all of that stuff they're telling you about that in the time of pandemic or whatever, the antibodies, and we've got to study the antibodies, and we're going to have plasma banks set up so people can donate plasma, so people with strong antibody production can help the people that don't have the antibody production. you never hear where these antibodies come from. And because you hear it's a plasma, oh yeah, well, it's in the plasma. Yeah, it's in the plasma, but it doesn't come from plasma. It comes from your bone marrow. Now, what is your bone marrow? What is your bone marrow? Your bone marrow is made of two things. Water and collagen. Water and collagen. And you got 4 different types of water in your bone marrow. You have 4 different types of water in your bone marrow. This is what's in the books. Right? So anyway, that's one of the 4 short nutrients. I know I've been going on forever. I can go on forever about these things. Man, 2 hours pass. 2 hours pass. Right? And what happened to the story about Aubrey's tooth, her teeth? Right? Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Watch this. Here's the next one. 4 short nutrients. Vitamin D. Vitamin D. So what do the insurance companies know about vitamin D? Oh! Listen, they damn near could give you a death date just based on vitamin D levels alone. All they got to do is look at the color of your skin. Check that vitamin D level, and it's a wrap. All they need is your address. Listen, where does this person live at? Where were they born at? Where were they born at? Where do they live at? How dark skin are they? And what's their vitamin D level? That's going to tell. They could give you a death date just on that alone. Right? Because where you're born at versus how dark you are, that's going to tell them how much, what your conversion rate is going to be, right? This is why we have EnQi's first law of metabolism, conversion rate, right? Understanding food as substrates, understanding chemicals produced in the body as substrates, because we focus on the substrates instead of the product. But we don't understand what a substrate and a product is because we don't know chemistry. So we don't know what a substrate and a product is, right? Vitamin D. Vitamin D is going to tell us, okay, now, before we even go into the vitamin D story, I got to tell you this. The #1 selling pharmaceutical drug of all time is it's a statin drug to target cholesterol. Right? So what does it mean that this is the #1 selling drug of all time? Like of all time, Lipitor, #1 selling drug of all time. What does that mean? That means the biggest problem that people are having is Cholesterol. And if we look at the number one and the number two killers, what are the number one and number two killers in the world? Heart disease, brain disease, right? And sometimes they stick lung disease in between those two, but lung disease goes along with heart disease. That's cardiovascular disease. So that's part and parcel. That's just separating one out from the other. So don't pay no attention to that. Still heart disease and brain disease, right? Well, the brain is made out of cholesterol. You're forgetting this. Your brain is made out of cholesterol. So when I look at your vitamin D level, oh my goodness, do I get a story? See, you don't see with your eyes, you don't hear with your ears, you see and hear with your mind. If you don't have the information, shit could be right in front of you and you have no idea. You think you know, but you don't know. Your brain's made out of cholesterol. It's not possible for you to be low on vitamin D and also have a good functioning brain. So if you're dark skinned and you're born in New York, you're born in Philly, Detroit, Newark, Chicago, nigga, Seattle. Oh, if you born anywhere in Canada, forget about it. You niggas in Canada, forget. That's why the niggas in Canada is crazy. Canada's like one of the only places where there's black folks that get caught eating like cannibal. There's crazy niggas in Canada. Y'all sleep on Canada. People in Canada are nuts. You think the hoods in America are full of crazy. No. These niggas in Canada are nuts. If you do. Listen. Your brain is cholesterol. Your brain is cholesterol. Now, your heart has to circulate cholesterol. Your heart has to circulate cholesterol. So this is why cholesterol is seen as one of the number one determiners of heart disease. Even though cholesterol is not the bad guy. Cholesterol is not the bad guy. It's the carrier of the cholesterol, right? The fat molecule, the lipids associated with cholesterol. And that's your first level of understanding cholesterol. The lipids are the problem, not the cholesterol. Because what do they tell you? LDL is bad, HDL is good. The cholesterol is not different in LDL or HDL. The cholesterol itself is just cholesterol. The cholesterol molecule is unchanged. The difference between LDL and HDL is the lipids, the fats, right? So that's one level of understanding. The next level of understanding up is it's not even so much the fats that's the problem. Wait, EnQi, you just said it's the fats. Yeah, because that's a level of understanding. You got to learn, right? What happens is you got to remember, you have to circulate millions of red blood cells through 60,000 miles of vessels. See, you got to study your timetable. You got to circulate 60,000 miles of, you got to circulate blood through 60,000 miles in 60 seconds. What kind of speed is that? Think about that speed. Think about what kind of speed think about going 60,000 miles in 60 seconds. That's 1,000 miles a second. Think about that. Your car does not go 1,000 miles an hour. That's airplane speed. That's some other shit. Your blood is going that fast. Think about it. You on the highway, right? You on the highway, you driving, and you know you doing it. You going about 80, 90 miles an hour. You doing it. You going fast. A motorcycle zips past you. Vroom! Your car shakes because the motorcycle going so fast, the energy is carrying. Or maybe a sports car go by you. Somebody in a Lambo or something crazy. Or they got a Corvette, but they flooring it. They go by you at 120, 140, 160. They doing the whole dashboard. Your car shake. Now, mind you, you going 90 miles an hour. And they fly past you at 160 miles an hour. Well, trust me, the fastest car or motorcycle you've ever seen would look like the tortoise. Remember the tortoise and the hare story you learned when you was a kid? This shit would look like the tortoise next to the hare, because that's how slow. Your blood is moving 1,000 miles a second. That shit's flying. So what does that mean? Well, the blood, it crashes up into the vessels. So what happens when your vessels start to get weak, right? If your blood vessels rupture, listen to this. If your blood vessels rupture, the racetrack where these cells are flying around, and mind you, it's more than just blood flying around. It's everything that the blood's carrying, white blood cells, platelets, all kinds of shit's in there flying around. If anywhere on that racetrack, those blood vessels pop open, you're dead in seconds. You're dead in seconds. You sleep, you just won't wake up. Wherever you're at, you could be playing catch with your son and you're dead. My homeboy Vic, his father, I'll never forget this because his father was one of the neighborhood fathers. And it was like it translated down because Vic supported us. His pops had money, good job, not crazy. His pops had a little money. Vic got a decent job, got a good education, good parents. Vic had a little bread. So, Vic came through for niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people, Vic came through for niggas. So it hurt the neighborhood. Vic goes behind the building, right across the street from us on 156th Street. Yeah, PS 156 and IS 151. They go in the schoolyard to play basketball. Vic, dad, dies playing against Vic in basketball. That hurt the whole neighborhood. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? For your dad to drop dead playing against you in basketball. What's the one thing that could be crazier than that? What's the one thing that could be crazier than a dad that's a dad's dad of the whole neighborhood? Is Vic. Vic is a supporter of the whole neighborhood. They go across the street to play basketball. What's the one thing that could be crazier than a dad dying, dropping dead on the basketball court, playing basketball with his son? Sorry for your loss. But no, that's not the answer. The one thing that could be crazier is Vic dying playing basketball with his dad instead of his dad dying. Think about that. Parents dying before kids is the natural order of things. When your kids die before you do, that's insane. So guess what? In order to prevent blood vessels from opening, in order to prevent these people just dying, dropping dead, once the vessel starts to get weak, when the vessel starts to get weak, calcium comes to the rescue. Like a cast. You get a broken bone, you go get a cast. The vessel get weak, your body patches that spot immediately with calcium so that it doesn't pop, but also so that it doesn't disrupt the blood flow. What else is it going to need? Well, patches it up with calcium, and then on the other side, cholesterol. So you build up these patches. You got blotches of cholesterol. Now, what happens after that? Well, if a repair is not made or collateral vessels are not built, white blood cells are going to be attracted to this spot. They like to eat this stuff. They like to eat that stuff. And they get real big. And they transform like the Ghostbusters. Remember the Ghostbusters, the big white marshmallow man? You have white blood cells that do that. Those are called foam cells. When I first started teaching people about this, maybe about 10 years ago, they said, EnQi, this is pseudo, you're making this up. I was like, how could you say? I don't understand how everybody got a smartphone that says such dumb things. You do know you can just Google foam cells and I'm like, you think you can look this up? As I'm saying it, you can look this up. So this is what actually happens, this cascade of events here that starts the blockages that later translates into your cardiovascular disease, right? But if we walk it backwards, right? The white blood cells never have the all-you-can-eat buffet, so they never become foam cells, right? So we get rid of the foam cells. The white blood cells never even have anything to eat because there's no whole bunch of fat building up. Fat's delicious to everybody. Folks start grilling in the backyard. If you're a meat eater, that fat start, you're like, what they cooking back there, right? Fat's delicious to everybody. So cholesterol is not there because the calcium is not there, right? Well, how did you prevent all that from happening? Vitamin C and lysine with a splash of copper. Vitamin C, lysine with a splash of copper. that makes sure that the vessel's good. But now, guess what? Vitamin C is a shortfall nutrient. So niggas ain't getting enough vitamin C. Whoop. So because you're not getting enough vitamin C, you know that you're going to have spots where your vessels are going to be weak. The calcium is going to have to be used to plug up the vessel, and then the cholesterol is going to have to be added. So now you're going to build up the foam. They know this already. They already know this because this is how your body works. Oh, and guess what else? Copper is also something people are missing. So once again, we know if you're missing copper, we know for sure those vessels going to be weak. We know for sure you're going to have plaques and cholesterols building up. Yeah. And guess what? If you have infections in your body, ooh-wee, even if you're getting enough lysine, we know that your lysine is going to be sequestered for other stuff. So you're not going to have the right amount of lysine that you need circulating through your body available for construction. So because you don't have the vitamin C, the lysine, and the copper, we know for a fact you got weak tissues. Now, guess what? Can a person have a six-pack with big muscles and do 100 push-ups and all kind of crazy shit and still have weak blood vessels? Absolutely. Because the bigger you get, the more of those nutrients you need. Recommended daily allowances of nutrients is an average. That's not a thing that's static for everybody. That's an average. That's why you need to understand, like I said earlier, the shortfall of science relies on duplication, but people aren't duplicatable. Everybody's unique, which means you all need the same nutrients, but you need different amounts. Your body function different. Yeah. So what do the big football players and bodybuilders and all them niggas die from? Cardiovascular disease. Lipitor is the #1 selling drug. Hard to get a ticket for Funkmaster Flex Night. Listen, I'm telling you, I'm the GOAT for a reason.
Peace and blessings out there to everybody. My name is Dr. EnQi, the founder of the Melanin versus Diabetes movement and ministry. Our goal is to fight diabetes by creating a biochemically literate society, one book at a time, one person at a time, one household at a time. Join us now by going to Amazon.com and getting all of the books, getting all of the books that you can afford, even if you can't read them all. Share them with family, share them with loved ones. Let's begin the study. And if you need tutoring sessions are available at AmericanHealer.website. I can give you one-on-one tutoring through these books. Let's build a biochemically literate society, one person at a time. Thanks in advance.
Shout out to my guy B Lynn. You know, my guy B Lynn, he made that beat. I'm gonna love that beat forever. He made that beat, original beat, and gave me that beat, right? And when I first met B Lynn, it took me a long time before I caught on that B Lynn was blend. And that's what we used to do back in the days. That's original hip hop. You blend it up. You blend it up, right? You blend it up, right? You get the new book. The whole book is about blend it up, right? We put the food in the blender. So they know, just like this space is now empty, they know you're not getting these nutrients. So they know what jobs those nutrients do, like we outlined in the biochemistry book. In the biochemistry, let me pull out this biochemistry book. Where the hell is the biochemistry book? Hold on. Lymphatic. Where is all my books? Oh, here it goes, right here. All right, so let's open up this biochemistry book real quick. Let me just show you something, share something with you live, right? Just so you get an idea. All right, because we go through this in the biochemistry book. Okay, now vitamin A, right? Vitamin A. Vitamin A implicates the liver, the pancreas, and the heart cells, right? How? Because vitamin A rather, determines fibrosis. Vitamin A is stored inside little cells that travel around your body. Your body has low levels of vitamin A. When you have inflammation and some certain other issues that pop up, in order to heal those places, you'll have micro scarification, which is basically fibrosis. Now, in certain places over time, when that continues to happen, you have hardening, right? Chunks of organs, glands, tissues that stop working because it's hard, right? We know your body can produce stone because you have teeth, you have bones, right? So we know these tissues can get hard, right? That's just an example. You have to understand what these things mean, right? So, Lipitor, #1 selling drug. You got low vitamin D, chances are you have high cholesterol. They go together. If you have low vitamin D, you have high cholesterol. Because cholesterol, you're going to get it from your food. Your liver, right? So I just mentioned vitamin A. Your liver produces cholesterol all the time. All the time. But again, you have to learn chemistry. You have to learn the difference between a substrate and a product. You have to learn the difference. What is a substrate? A substrate is something that's getting ready to be turned into something else. Like when we had the fiber here earlier, we talked about fiber in the microbiome. The fiber is a substrate. When the microbiome, the bacteria consume the fiber, they turn that into products that your body needs to function. So it's two ways that not having the fiber kill you regarding the microbiome. A, you don't get any of the secondary and tertiary nutrients that the microbiome provide because they provide it as waste products from the fiber. The same way we breathe, remember, oxygen that we rely on to live is a waste product from plants. That's what a symbiotic relationship is. Fiber is a waste product in human food, right? We don't necessarily break down fiber. We don't need that. If we didn't have a microbiome, the fiber would go right through our body and come out the other end. But the microbiome, that's their food source. Carbon dioxide, it's a waste product from humans, but the plants need that. The plants take in our waste products. That's what they need to live. That's called a symbiotic relationship, right? We take in the plant products. We take in the bacterial products. We need those. So the fiber has to be there for the bacteria to convert into products. We need the products, not the substrate. When you understand that cholesterol is a substrate, then you halfway to understanding. You don't need cholesterol. You need conversion. That's why we have EnQi's first law of metabolism. You don't need cholesterol. What you need is the products that are produced from cholesterol. Your progesterones, your testosterones, your vitamin D. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need the products that your body converts cholesterol into. But if you have high cholesterol, that means you don't have the products because your body's not converting the cholesterol. So that means you're low in vitamin D, you're low in testosterone, right? We can stop right there. Matter of fact, let's add the others. Estrogen, progesterone, or progestrogens. And we'll put progesterone, right? But that's a family of hormones as well, right? So high cholesterol means you're low in these things because your body's not converting the cholesterol. This is how they make a business. This is how big business is made. This is how your ignorance, because you niggas are not reading books. This is how your lack of reading turns into trillions of dollars. Listen, high cholesterol means low vitamin D, low testosterone, low estrogen, low progesterone. So now what does that mean? That means that because you got high cholesterol, I know for a fact one or more than one of these other things is happening inside your body. So not only is the cholesterol going to be messing with your heart, brain, and now the new thing is kidneys. They don't start giving people on dialysis cholesterol medication. They're giving folks with diabetes. We might as well have diabetes. Yeah, cholesterol medication, right? So directly you have these industries. You heard what I said, industries. Heart surgeons, heart drugs, heart companies, all that. High cholesterol. Brain surgeons, neuro drugs, neurotropic vitamins, all kind of shit. Because you don't understand the conversion rate. That's why you got to get the books. You don't understand the conversion rate. So you're going to be paying for all kind of shit that you don't realize. It's not just about me teaching you science. It's about me saving you money. I'm trying to save you money from wasting money buying useless supplements, medicines, all kinds. Time you can't work, time you can't hustle, time you can't spend with your family. I want you to be prepared mentally when your child fall down and break their tooth. Or something else, some other crazy shit that, when you fall, whatever. Right? You know how much folks on dialysis? These are industries, right? But let's go over here. Viagra. Viagra is nothing but citrus and nitric oxide put together. It's citrus and nitric oxide put together to force blood flow through capillaries that are being clogged and shut off instead of cleaning it out. Whole industries open up. Women can no longer have babies. They can't have babies. Whole industries opening up. IVF, this and that. And they spending trillions of dollars to figure out how to get you synthetically pregnant instead of just dealing with this. Why? Because they already have industries made on your sickness. They already have banks that are making bazillions of dollars on your sickness. right? So they can't disturb the system that's already in place. They could just plug into the system and get their money as well. So they know if you got the substrate building up, that means you don't have the products. Right? Now, what is the active form? What is the active form of, and see, that's why you got to learn the language. Y'all still ain't hip. Y'all ain't learning the language. Look. You got to learn body language. Let me show you why you got to learn body language. Look at this right here. Watch this. Hold on. So for this, now we're going to have to erase some stuff. We're going to have to erase some stuff. And I know in your mind, you're like, EnQi going in. I think that's it. Cholecalciferol. Right? Cholecalciferol. This is your active vitamin D, right? Or one of the forms of active vitamin D, right? So you learn the body language, you know what this means, right? Look. Right? You got cholesterol. You got calcium. And you got iron. Yeah. Vitamin D does what? Controls how your body metabolizes and utilizes calcium and iron. So you niggas got low iron, right? And you're running out to buy iron stuff. And what do the holistic healers do that don't know no better? Oh, yeah, I got that yellow doc. Oh, I got that moringa. Yo, no. Come see me this one. I got the Sabi. No, this is the Sabi one. This is going to get that iron up in you. Yep. This is the Sabi one that's going to get that iron. Yep. And you running around. Let me get that one, this one. And then time and time again, you watch over the years, right? Over the years, you watch people that sound highly intelligent when they're on their own page. When somehow they wind up sitting on a screen next to Dr. EnQi, it seems like these are the dumbest niggas on earth. There's no coincidence that keeps happening. Because you haven't taken the time to study. I've been reading 50 to 100 books a year for 30 years on this subject. So when somebody starts talking, 99% of the time, if it's not coming from an authentic place, I could tell you exactly where they got that from. I'm like, oh, that's not even his. That's not even his. That came from over there. Yeah, let me tell you what the flaws in his original premise was. Yeah, so I already know he hasn't even studied that long. Because if he's still teaching you that means he hasn't figured out the reason why people moved on from that. Yeah. So now, if you have build-up cholesterol, which means you don't have the vitamin D, it's not possible for your body to process calcium. So let's just stop the brakes right there. Let's erase all this. We don't even need to talk about iron. Let's just talk about calcium. Calcium is number 3 on the shortfall nutrients list. Calcium is number 3. Now, how, Sway? How? I wish I had the Kanye clip. How, Sway? You don't have the answers. Ask yourself, calcium is like the number 1 most supplemented nutrient in America. Literally, it's supposed to be in the milk, right? And if it's in the milk, that means it's in all the milk concentrates, right? Your cheese, your ranch, your butter, your ice cream. When you go get protein, 90% of the protein powders that's on the market are whey or casein. Those are milk products. Your yogurts, all these dairy products supposed to be high in calcium. How the hell does nobody have any calcium? How are people missing calcium in America? Calcium's everywhere. Even the lowest diet level, right? Because the people that eating the most ratchet diets, what's a big part of their diet? Dairy. Lots of pizza, right? Milk is in the bread, milk is in the butter, milk is in the cheese. Lots of pizzas happening. Little Caesars in business. Little Caesar, they sell so many pizzas that nobody in America should be calcium loaded. Frosty Flakes, Fruity Pebbles. When you read the side of the cereal box, it says it's fortified with oh, nigga! The cereal boxes tell you it's fortified with nutrients. Calcium is in the cereal. Frosty Flakes supposed to have. Let me look this shit up. Y'all think I'm playing. Let's look this shit up. Let's look this up. Come on. Let me see what Frosty Flakes got on there in there. Let's look up some good old Frosty Flake nutrition. Come on. Look at this. Here we go. Oh, hold on. You can't see. Here we go. Look at this. Here go Frosty Flakes nutrition right here. Look at this. Oh, no. This is the Frosty Dairy Dessert. Okay, so wait a minute. This is Wendy's fast food restaurant Frosty Dairy Dessert. They can't call it a milkshake because it's not made with real ingredients. But look at this. 38% of your daily amount of calcium is in there. Right? How the hell is that possible? How is calcium everywhere and nowhere at the same time? Come on now. We want to see this label. Here we go. Bam. Look at that there. When you have a bowl of Frosty Flakes, right? With your milk in it, you're supposed to get 15% of your calcium, right? You're supposed to get 15% of your calcium right there. And how many bowls of cereal we have? When I was a kid, I always had at least 2-3 bowls of cereal. One box of cereal has not lasted more than 2-3 days. Let's look up the Wesley Muhammad special. Wesley Muhammad, Nation of Islam, promotes milk. Let's look at the milk. What milk? What is milk? What is milk nutrition? Regular whole. That's him right there. Whole milk, white milk. That's Wesley Muhammad special. Whole milk, white milk. This is what they promote, the Nation of Islam. Let's see what they got here. Calcium. 1 cup, 25%. See that down there in the small print down there? Right here. Calcium, 300 milligrams, which is 25% of your daily recommended value. So you have 1 cup, you on your way. 1 cup. That's 1 bowl of cereal. It's 1 bowl of cereal. You have 2-3 bowls of cereal. You're supposed to have all your full days of calcium right there at breakfast time. You good. How is it that calcium is on the shortfall nutrients? And listen, not only is calcium in all the dairy, supposedly, right? Not only is it in all the dairy, supposedly, calcium is possibly the best-selling vitamin supplement of all time. Calcium is in every supplement that they sell. Every multivitamin has calcium. Every multivitamin. Kids' multivitamins, they all have calcium. Doctors prescribe calcium. So you got prescription calcium, then you got over-the-counter calcium, then you got all these dairy products and breads and infused with calcium. How is it that calcium is a shortfall nutrient? The life insurance companies know. They know. You got high cholesterol? I mean, you got low vitamin D. That means no matter how much calcium you eat, your body's not going to be able to use it. Because that's vitamin D's job. Vitamin D's job is to help your body to metabolize the calcium. So if you're not getting the vitamin D, or you're getting sporadic vitamin D, right? You're getting sporadic. Because we got vegan vitamin D3 on my website. But I could look and see the people that buy it sporadically. They bought it, then they didn't buy it, then they didn't buy it. Okay. You think sporadic doses of vitamin D is going to help you out. High substrate, low products. Low product has a chain of events. So now, guess what? Low vitamin D, low calcium absorption, low calcium metabolism. Guess what? We know it's going to take years off your life because your life is coming right from out of your bone marrow. So if you don't have the calcium, the strontium, the boron, all of those things that make you have strong bones, then you don't have good bone marrow function. We know you ain't going to live that long. It's not possible. Your bone marrow is not going to be able to continue to produce enough blood. It's not going to be able to produce enough immune cells. It's not going to be able to produce enough antibodies to keep you healthy. We know it already. You got that cholesterol backed up. So now, how do we work this out? We scared the hell out of you about the cholesterol building up. Oh man, you got high cholesterol. What you gonna do? You gotta figure this shit out. You're gonna die from heart disease, brain disease, kidney. So we gotta get that cholesterol lower. You need to take a statin drug. Statin drug to the rescue. Now what happens when your statin drug to the rescue? Well, The statin drug, I think it's called HMG-CoA. I might have to double check that. But the statin drug basically inhibits the enzyme that leads to cholesterol production. So guess what? Man, we done solved that cholesterol problem for you. Man, we done solved that cholesterol problem, man. You good. Your cholesterol going to drop down. And you're going to go to the doctor, get a test, and sure enough, after you started your cholesterol drugs, guess what? Your cholesterol done went down. So in your mind, you straight. You're going to live a long, healthy life because you just fixed your cholesterol problem, which is your risk for heart disease. But guess what? No, no, no. For the people, you don't love me, and I know now. It's for the people, 'cause you tricked me, baby. Yeah, they tricked you. They lowered your cholesterol down, but guess what? Now you don't have the products. Remember, cholesterol's a substrate. You need the products produced from cholesterol conversion. Getting rid of cholesterol is not the solution, you goofy niggas. Because when you get rid of the cholesterol, you just got rid of the vitamin D. So now it's not possible for your body to produce vitamin D on its own, period. And vitamin D is a group of vitamin Ds. There's a group, right? We talk about that in the photochemistry book. I don't know where it is, right? Y'all tired of hearing me say I don't know where books is at, right? Here it goes. Vitamin D is not a single vitamin. It's a group. There's a different type of vitamin D that the liver makes, a different type the kidney makes. Like there's a group of vitamin Ds, right? So, but you're not going to have any of them. Your body's not going to be able to make any of them because you can't make cholesterol. So guess what? Not only are you going to be vitamin D deficient, but you guessed it. How's your body going to utilize calcium and iron? How? So guess what? Now you're attacking the bone marrow from two directions. Because your vitamin D is what gives you the long life. Calcium, iron, right? The bone marrow has to be strong, fortified with nutrients to produce healthy blood. Healthy blood means iron. Yes. Shake your head at home. Yes, EnQi, we got the iron. Yes, we get it. But you can't use the iron and you can't use the calcium. So it's not possible for you to be healthy. How are you going to live a long life? You can't produce blood. How are you going to have a strong immune system? You can't produce immune cells. You can't produce antibodies. So we know we got you. Gotcha. Pandemic happened. Who was at the top of the list for risk of death during pandemic? People with metabolic disease. People with metabolic disease, number one, cholesterol. High blood sugar and cholesterol. The tag team duo, the Road Warriors. Best tag team in the history of wrestling. High cholesterol, high blood sugar. Almost totally undefeated. Yeah. We got you right there. Life insurance companies know this. They're making trillions of dollars off of this. Whole country economies is backed by this. When your economy crashes, life insurance doesn't crash. Those are stocks and things like that crashing. Life insurance don't never crash because they never lose. Why don't they ever lose? Because they know what's in these books. They know what's in these books. And trust me, if you think this is some shit that I'm showing you, this is not, this is a tiny fraction of what's in these books. This ain't even like, this like watching Steph Curry at practice. And he throwing up threes, and you're like, oh man, Steph Curry's crazy. And you're like, what? Nigga, I'm just playing around. Like this ain't a real game. This ain't nothing. This is light. Pun intended. Right? So we know for a fact you got the high substrate, you got the low products. Right? So what else you got going on? Remember, we put up testosterone, estrogen. Now, you know of estrogen. Listen now. You know of estrogen as being problematic for cancer. And they promote that to you hard body. Yo, the estrogen, cancer, estrogen, cancer, estrogen, cancer. Did you know that estrogen is required for healthy bones? Listen, they got you going and coming, and you're watching goofy niggas on the internet. They don't know none of this. They don't know none of this. Because while I was studying books, they was platform hopping. These niggas was on the media campaign. So they got popularity. They got views, likes, and subs. I don't have views, likes, and subs. I have this. I have this. A library full of books I created so that you will have this. Because this, in my mind, does you no good. Listen to what I'm telling you. Me knowing all this does you no good. You have to get this. That's what the books are for. That's why you're sending in the cash apps. That's why I'm saying, send me some cash apps so I can keep the research going. So this information could transfer to you. So when your kid gets hit by a car or they fall on their teeth or you're out playing basketball. That was a heartbreaking story when you thought Vic's father was the one that died playing basketball. How much crazier does it get when it wasn't Vic's father, but it was Vic that died, the child? When you got to bury your son because y'all was playing basketball in the sun. You got to bury your son because y'all was playing basketball in the sun and your son's cardiovascular system couldn't take it. You don't have this. God bless his soul. He know I love him. But Vic used to laugh at me. Vic and Chris O used to sit behind my building. St. Ides open right there on the floor. They rolling up. I got a book in my back pocket. And I'm getting ready to walk to Harlem with my Uncle Willie. We're going to the gym. Yo, nigga, what are you going to the gym for? Yo, come on, come through. You don't need that. Niggas got guns now anyway. Ain't nobody fighting. What are you going to the gym for? Like, bro, y'all niggas goofy. Y'all niggas goofy. It'd take me too long to explain it. You need to get some of these books. Vic never made it to his 40s. His father outlived him. This is how insurance companies make trillions of dollars. So while you thinking it's got to be some rare, crazy herb somewhere at the top of a mountain, or, you know, we were in the deep jungles of Mexico and we found this Mexican herb, and you're getting excited because you're hearing all this exotic dumb shit, just remember, life insurance companies make trillions of dollars because you're not getting basic nutrition. You're not getting basic nutrition. And it's not even a matter of you not getting certain things, because it's everywhere. Just like the calcium. Calcium's everywhere, but nobody has any. How? How is calcium everywhere, but nobody has any? Well, because you got cholesterol issue. And the cholesterol issue starts with sugar. Glycation. Oh, you don't think that cholesterol is a part of this? The sugars start to stick into the cholesterols too. It's not just your blood cells. They just measure your blood cells. Listen, see, y'all niggas don't understand this science. Listen, they measure A1C, right? To measure how much sugar chains are sticking to your blood cells. They use that as a metric to understand how much sugars are sticking to all the pigments throughout your body, all the fats throughout your body. It's not that that's the only place it's happening. It's not just only happening on your blood cells. Anything that pretty much has the aromatics, any chain that has aromatics in there is going to have a sticking point for the sugar chains. And cholesterol, as we show in the photochemistry book, yeah, glycation. So now once you get the sugar chains hanging off the cholesterol, even if you get the sun, even if you get the exercise in, that may not be enough to convert those. Now you're going to need something that can break those chains, break those glycations. So you need chemical reactions now before chemical reactions. So there's a whole set of chemical reactions that we walk you through in the books to change cholesterol into the substrates. But if your cholesterol has been adulterated, now you need a whole set of chemical reactions to happen to get it back to normal before it can even be converted. So that's why you need a fast conversion rate, EnQi's first law of metabolism, because you don't want anything to happen to your cholesterol. You want to keep that in pristine condition. As soon as that comes out of the liver, you want that to be converted. Zoop! Vitamin D, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, whatever. Right? So you lowering cholesterol, but your death date the same. Because we're going to get you here. And your brain is made out of cholesterol. Your brain made out of cholesterol. So what you going to do without the fat for your brain? What you going to do? Brain disease. So you save the heart disease so that you can have weak bones, weak blood, weak brain. You got clean kidneys, though. You got a good heart. Yeah, you got a good heart. It's a nice, but he's a good dude. Dumb nigga, though. Good dude, though. Right? Yeah. That's what's happening. Right? I might have to change. I might have to put master class on the end of this. I think I'm teaching y'all too much. You're having overload. Yeah, is this too much information for the day? Y'all want me to stop? Tell me in the chat what y'all want me to do. Y'all want me to keep going? Should we pull up another one? Should we keep going? Should we do another one? I don't see nobody saying it in the chat. Y'all must be tired. What's a good vitamin D supplement? A good vitamin D supplement is right here. You're going to get this book. It's called Photochemistry. You're going to get this book and this book. These are good vitamin D supplements. This is how you get your vitamin D up. You get these two books, right? You get the books. That's the supplement. They said, keep going. Keep going. I'm taking notes. Well, that's the major note to take. You got to get the books.
Peace and blessings out there to everybody. My name is Dr. EnQi, the founder of the Melanin versus Diabetes movement and ministry. Our goal is to fight diabetes by creating a biochemically literate society, one book at a time, one person at a time, one household at a time. Join us now by going to Amazon.com and getting all of the books, getting all of the books that you can afford, even if you can't read them all. Share them with family, share them with loved ones. Let's begin the study. And if you need tutoring sessions are available at AmericanHealer.website. I can give you one-on-one tutoring through these books. Let's build a biochemically literate society, one person at a time. Thanks in advance.
All right. Let's change gears for a second. If we're going to keep having this conversation, let's change gears for a second. How many people have heard of Willie Lynch? How many people have ever heard of Willie Lynch? Willie Lynch. How many people have ever heard of Willie Lynch? The Willie Lynch letters. What does that mean? What is that about? Willie Lynch. Some people say this is fake. Hold on. The Willie Lynch letter. Willie Lynch speech. Let's take a look at this. Just real quick. We're going to take a look at this. Okay. Now, Willie Lynch he identifies himself as a master of a modest plantation. The current violent method of handling unruly slaves is inefficient and counterproductive. Instead, he suggests that they adopt his method, which consists of exploiting differences as age and skin color in order to pit slaves against each other. Age and skin color. That is interesting. Age and skin color. I just told you the life insurance company can pick your death date with what? Age, skin color. Age, skin color, and then some other factors. What's the address? What is the address? Where do they live? Dark skin? Detroit? Born in New York? Add in this. He was born with bow legs. I'm not supposed to be. I'm supposed to be checked out already. I was born dark skinned with bow legs in New York. That means that my mother, while she was pregnant with me and before, right? That means that while this is what it means to be able to, you don't see with your eyes and ears, you see with your mind. You have to have the information to understand it. So when some people see bow legs, they go, ooh, that person's sexy. They got bow legs. A person that knows biochemistry, when they see bow legs, they go, ooh, that person's vitamin D deficient. Ooh, that person's calcium deficient. Ooh, that person's parathyroid is not working. Parathyroid gland is not working. Why? Because the mother was deficient. So because the mother was deficient, the child is deficient. So born with bow legs and dark skin in New York means this kid ain't had no vitamin D, never. Oh, cancer's coming. And where you go? Where you live at? New York, Philly, Detroit. What? That's how my productive power went to another level. All my children, look, this is not coincidence. All my children I made in two places, New York and Atlanta. In Atlanta, I make twins. In New York, I make singles. In New York, I'm making base hits. Atlanta, doubles. Why? See, John Q. Public, they're not gonna have any clue. That doesn't make so. What's the coincidence, Doc? I have a bunch of children. When I get women pregnant in New York, they have a single baby. I get women pregnant in Georgia, they have two. And we're not talking about acid. We're not talking about the conditions where the baby is so acid that the egg is dividing. See, that's what happens with identical twins. The environment is so acidic, the egg breaks up. And because the egg is breaking up at such a young, early developmental stage, it has all of the requirements to continue to produce whole bodies. But it's sharing that genetic material. So you're going to get identical twins or triplets or whatever the case may be. But when you get that healthy, you can fertilize. Women have 2 eggs at one time. They're ready to go. They got multiple fertilized eggs. 2 sides with multiple eggs ready to go. So technically, you might be the limiting factors, fellas. Yeah. You take a whole lot of semen, healthy semen, swimming, and you got to have a whole lot of healthy swimmers. So for me, that was something I had to factor in. I changed my sexual practices, but I also changed my location. I got closer to the equator. As I got closer to the equator, just being down there, I started to exercise outside a lot. So without knowing, I was speeding up my conversion rate. So as I'm speeding up my conversion rate, what's happening? My semen cycle is changing. Men have a 64-day semen cycle. My semen cycle is changing. My testosterone levels are changing. This is how life insurance companies get you. They know what's happening. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Shortfall nutrients. What else? What else we should talk about? And I could continue to go and do those, but I think you get the idea. Right? How does this thing work? How about that? Let's talk about that. How this thing works. You got Hollywood. You got your government. You got your banks. And then you got the corporations. How does this thing work? Starts with Hollywood. Hollywood consistently gives you healthy images of everyone. Everybody looks sexy in the movies. Everybody's sexy in the movies. Alcoholics are sexy in the movies. People strung out on prescription drugs, they sexy in the movie. Remember, wasn't Halle Berry a drug addict in the movies? Halle Berry was a drug addict in the movies. That's how Hollywood do you. Denzel Washington could be like a drug addict in the movie. Yeah. Everybody's sexy in the movies. So you don't get to associate smoking with like people having their throat removed and all that. You know, where they got to walk around with like a big sheet. They got stuff like this they got to wear for the rest of their life until they dead because they done had this whole part of their chest cavity and their neck and all that removed. That's what real cigarette smokers look like. And they talk with the machine, they go like this. That's what real lifetime smokers look like. But when you look at the rap videos, everybody's smoking blunts. You know, if you pay attention, though, you're starting to catch niggas out there now. If you pay attention, like LL Cool J is back. He got a new single out with Fat Joe and Rick Ross, right? Watch that video. If you notice, Rick Ross is not smoking a blunt. Rick Ross has joint paper. Joint paper was not cool. Remember, if you try to roll up joint paper instead of a blunt or a blunt wrap, hold on, don't put my weed in. You about to waste my... Why is Rick Ross smoking joint paper? Because Rick Ross got that money. And because he has that money, he has people around him now that have read these books. They know the information, rather, that's in these books. So they're like, hey, if you're going to keep doing that, you might want to do this. You might want to switch that up because you're already obese. So you already have a morbidity factor. Listen now. You already have a morbidity factor. You don't want to start adding morbidity factors together and then add those with comorbidity. And then your death date can change. Your death date can speed up. They can predict you're going to die in 7.5 years exactly on December 13th. And you wind up dying in 3 years or 2 years. You can speed it up. You can also slow it down. You can also break the mold. You can also win the bet. Right? Now, how does the government play a role in this? Well, the government does what? They subsidize food. They subsidize food. So they control a large part of what people are going to eat, especially people who aren't wealthy. This is one of the reasons why We need you to start participating in politics. Because the people that are voting, the people that are participating, the people who are running for office, well, those people are controlling what's on your food shelf. They're not only controlling what's on your food shelf, they're controlling the prices of it. So if you understand politics post-slavery, right? If you understand just a little bit of the Civil War even, it's a no-brainer that Joe Biden is in office and there's high-ass inflation. Now, they're going to get people to come on to the TV. Listen, they know these things that I'm getting ready to tell you. They know that less than 2% of America actually reads books. They know this. So this is why they get statisticians to come explain problems to you. You know why? Because they know that you don't speak the language of a statistician. So they're going to get the statistician to come up there and tell you a whole bunch of sheet music. They're going to tell you a whole bunch of sheet music, boom, like the Charlie Brown teacher. Boom, womp, boom, womp, boom, boom, womp, bomb. Well, womp, boom, womp, boom, womp, bomb. They're going to say, oh, well, so what happens is the gross domestic product multiplied by the insurance because you see we owe China and because they're going to start telling you all kinds of crazy shit that has nothing to do with the fact that Democrats formed out of the pro-slavery movement. It's never changed. The basics, the foundation, still the same. So what's the whip on your back now? So when you're on the plantation, they hit you with the whip. You're not working fast enough. You're not working hard enough. You got to get to work. Stop bullshitting out there. They put that whip on you. Right? We need more work. Well, what's the whip in this now corporate slavery? Corporate slavery, the whip is inflation. Yeah. Your same amount of money is going to get you less food. It's going to pay less bills because the taxes went up. Your bread done went up from, $2 to $2.75. We know you need to buy bread over and over again. So, that 75 cents going to turn to a couple $100 at the end of the year. Your taxes going to be an extra few thousand. Yeah. Your laundry detergent's going to go up. The meat, the price of gas, everything is going to go up. So now your same salary can afford you less life. Pow! Get y'all ass to work, nigga. Yeah. I'm working. Yeah. You've got to find some way to work more. You're working 40 hours a week. Now you need a part-time job. Or you need OT. You got to work OT now. You can't turn down overtime. You got to clock that 60 hours. You need that time and a half. Or your wife was at home with the kids. Well, these kids going to have to go to school or daycare somewhere. So now your wife can get a job. She no longer can afford to stay home and raise your kids. She's got to get a job. Or maybe you and the wife already working. So now the kids got to start getting jobs. Somebody. Get y'all ass. Yeah. Y'all elected him. Joe Biden, get in there. Yeah. Biden doing this thing. Get y'all ass to work. Yeah. That's how I go. Inflation. Inflation is inflammation of your money. Right? So now look, the government controls who can afford what by subsidizing the cost. So if they make the cost low for production, then those things become low priced in the food place. So now, no matter how much you've got to evaluate what you can afford. This is why I tell people I always been balling on a budget because I got to raise all these babies by myself. That's why I need you niggas to hit the Cash App. Hit the Cash App, damn it. Right? Like, EnQi, I wish I could, nigga. That. I get it. Send me what you can. I get it. Right? Because we've got to do what we've got to do. We got to do what we can afford. So whatever they subsidize is going to become the bulk of the food supply. They've already done the tests. These studies have already been done. Most of the people dealing with food-related metabolic illness, well, they're eating the lower side of the food spectrum. They're eating the lower side of the food spectrum. So these are going to be your more highly processed foods. Right? Yeah. Me and Chase, well, now everybody, but when it was Chase and I in Detroit for a while together before anybody else came. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know if y'all remember his viral Whole Food video, but somebody's like, hey, you always shopping in those fancy supermarkets. I'm like, yeah, because I don't get a discount in the supermarket anyway. If you go to the supermarket and you notice the healthier foods almost are never on sale. They're almost never on sale. What's on sale is, the off-brand. The off-brand. Like the main brand, they got the same exact ingredients, but it's a little... Hold on. Let me give you a prime example. Watch this. Watch this. This is a crazy example. Hold on, let me see. If you have this book, open up this book right now. If you got the food chemistry book, open up your food chemistry book. Let me see what page this is on. Is it in the food chemistry book? I think it is. This shit crazy. Damn, what page is that? Hold on. Because we did a comparison. This is a crazy comparison. Hold on. I think it's somewhere in the back because we was talking about. Damn, I can't find it. I know as soon as this live stream is over, I'm going to find it. I know it's in this damn book somewhere. All right, hold on. Maybe. There's a chapter on food ingredients, maybe. Let's see if it's here. Sure is. If you go to page 195, ooh-wee. If you go to page 195, we did a comparison, right? And in this section of the book, we're talking about food ingredients, right? Food ingredients. And so Starburst, right? This is just an example. We compare the ingredients of Starburst in America to the ingredients of the same candy in England. Oh, listen, it should be illegal. Listen to me when I tell you this. It should be illegal to even call these the same goddamn candy. I don't even know how they call these the same candy. Check this out. This shit crazy. Hold on. We didn't read all this shit because this is crazy. This is crazy. Like, hold up, Ink, but we want you to finish going in on the banks and get the books. Get the books. Right? Right? If you don't get the books, then you didn't get the message. You don't get the book, you don't get the message. But don't just get the books, study the books. Watch this. Now, if you have your book, we're on page 195. If you have your book, we're on page 195. All right. Starburst. US, UK. Now watch this here. Corn syrup. Glucose syrup. This is a totally big difference. Now, if you don't know anything about food chemistry, in your mind, you don't think there's a difference between these. You just know this is some type of sugar. Yeah, you just know this is sugar. But these are very different. These are very different. Very different. Because the fructose over here, okay. Now the next ingredient is the same, right? So they both also have sugar, just plain old sugar. So we'll put that in the middle, right? Next thing they do is hydrogenated oil. Vegetable oil. Hydrogenated oil versus vegetable oil. Again, these are light years apart in how they affect your biochemistry. Now, mind you, this is the same Starburst. Same Starburst. If you're a Starburst person that travels the world, you might notice there's a difference in the taste and chewiness. Just a slight difference from what your candy was in America to when you was in the UK. Yeah. Because the ingredients different. Check this shit out. We're going to keep going. Next thing, fruit juice concentrates. Fruit juice with water. So this has some actual percentage of actual fruit juice in there. This is a powdered substitute. Yeah. What we got after that? Oh my goodness. This is the game changer right here. Watch this. This is the game changer. This is where shit go crazy. Watch this. Red number 40. Yellow 5 and 6. Blue number 1. Now, what they got over in the UK? They got actual vegetable extracts. What? Yep. Yeah. Anthocyanins. Carotenes. And there's some more. But that's enough for you to see the difference right there. How, Sway? Are these the same thing? How could this be the same thing? I'll tell you. Because 99.9% of the population does not know what's in these books. They don't know what's in these books. And a company's not going to use these ingredients over these ingredients unless they are forced to. Because I can get these ingredients for a fraction of the cost of those ingredients. No, forget about GMO. Listen, stop with the GMO. GMO is a buzzword for people that think they know what they're talking about that don't know what they're talking about. Forget about GMO. That's like chakras. You know what I'm saying? People, oh yeah, we know about the GMOs. Stop with the GMOs. 99.9999% of people that talk about GMOs don't know about GMOs. You know how I know that people don't know about GMOs? Because you don't understand transcription and translation. If you don't understand methylation, transcription, and translation, you don't understand GMOs. You can't. You haven't read enough. Right?